Hello, I'm Richard Gisbert, and you're at The Listening Post. This week, the silencing of the media in the Taliban's new stronghold. Pakistan's Swat Valley has become an informational abyss. Killed in action, the U.S. lifts the ban on filming the return of its fallen soldiers.
To the media, it is not a soldier. It is just a story.
The Israeli army still under fire for its treatment of the media in the war on Gaza. And the all-conquering cats of YouTube. Welcome back. Pakistan is back in the headlines with that attack on the Sri Lankan cricket team in Lahore. It's just the latest incident in a wave of bloodshed that puts the country under the international media spotlight. We've looked at Pakistan's media scene before, the liberalizations carried out under the former president, Pervez Musharraf, then Musharraf's clampdown on the media late in 2007. Now there's a new crackdown underway, not as a result of a government decree, but because of Taliban forces in the Swat Valley in northwestern Pakistan. The media are running scared in that part of the country. Journalists have been killed, cable TV systems shut down, even music outlets selling CDs have been put out of business. The Listening Post's Meenakshi Ravi now on the growing media vacuum in Swat and what that means for journalists and media consumers alike.
For
Pakistani news channel Jio TV, having reporter Musa Khan Khail on the ground in Swat was an advantage. As a local of the region, he knew the language, the people, and most importantly, the danger spots. But on February 18th, he was found murdered in Swat.
Musa Khan, like many other journalists working in that dangerous area of Swat, have been receiving threats actually from all sides. At times, he used to call us, and other correspondents in the area also call us, that if we are not giving proper coverage to the extremists, they used to receive threats. And similarly, they also used to receive pressures or get pressures from the military, from the government.
Musa Khan Khail was one of 4 journalists who've been killed in Swat over the last 1 year. The escalating danger to the media in the region has had a chilling effect on journalists.
Of course, the media over there has a lot of troubles and difficulties. The government is blaming the media that they are glorifying the villain as heroes. And the other side, of course, the Taliban is blaming the media as well, that, you know, they are projecting them as doing suicide attacks, targeting the schools and other things, while this media is not telling the truth that this school is being used by the army or by security personnel for the military purpose.
Journalism hasn't been the only casualty of the media crackdown in Swat. These gates once stood open to crowds of moviegoers, but have been closed for years now. Some theatres still bear the signs of the films they once showed, but even these have been masked of late. CD shops are shuttered, cable services have been banned, and there's a decree against any music that's considered un-Islamic. Our camera crew in Swat spoke to a couple of men who had once worked as cable TV providers or owned CD shops. Not all of them were quite convinced of the reasons for the clampdown on CD sales and cable TV.
My name is Amjad Ali, and I currently have a mobile phone business. Previously, I used to have a CD shop, then Maulana Fazlullah told us over the radio that we should close down our CD shop. That's when I started my mobile phone business.
There were lots of rumors about a ban on cable TV here. Then our leader delivered a speech in which he said, "Please stop your cable TV because it's promoting moral corruption and spreading prostitution." I'm not sure what moral corruption our leaders are talking about. Our aim was to inform people about the world. We wanted people to get a chance to watch the news, to watch the National Geographic programs, to watch Discovery Channel and others.
The Pakistani Taliban may have effected a media lockdown in Swat, but they haven't been above using the media when it suits them. The leader of the Taliban in Swat is Mullah Fazlullah, a man who is very rarely seen but has been heard across Swat and adjoining areas through his broadcasts on a pirate FM radio channel he set up in 2006. The radio broadcasts were so instrumental in building up Mullah Fazlullah's following that he was dubbed Radio Mullah, and the name has stuck. Even today, radio broadcasts form a vital part of the Pakistani Taliban's communication strategy.
Well, as far as Mullah Fazlullah's broadcasts are concerned, they're not necessarily popular. It's just that the people don't have a choice. They know that they have to listen to those broadcasts very carefully because it has a direct effect on their lives.
Whatever information he's giving to his followers, his message considered as an order. If he decides to pinpoint anyone and called him infidel or called him American agent, his followers take the message as it is, as an order, and implement it.
As the Taliban's control of the media intensifies in Swat, news organizations are finding themselves being pushed out. Following Musa Khan's death, GeoTV has decided to stay under the radar.
Geo has actually minimized its operations in Swat after the death of our correspondent Musa Khan Khail. We have a couple of people there. We have asked them to be very careful, just cover the press conferences or the news reports that they are getting on telephone.
Usually, whenever we are moving to Swat, what we are trying to do, number one, is to take the local with us. I think this is the first defensive line for the reporters. And number two, of course, journalists need some sort of courage. And if you don't have courage, if you don't have adventurism, you have to stay in your home and you shouldn't, do this profession.
But it's not just about journalistic courage. People in the valley have been witness to the blacklisting of the media, and they're unwilling to take risks.
You don't hear stories of women, you don't hear stories of people in their houses because they're very fearful of talking to journalists, and journalists are looked at very warily in Swat. If you're caught talking to a journalist, then you're as good as dead.
Swat Valley is at the center of this media conflict in Pakistan, and many observers are fearful of the pace at which the hardliners are gaining ground. Incidents of violence against journalists have taken place in neighboring Balochistan and Waziristan, and the media chill is beginning to spread even to Peshawar, the capital of Pakistan's northwest frontier.
Journalists working in Peshawar, they are feeling the heat, they are feeling the pressure. Journalists, even those sitting in Islamabad or even in the other city, they believe that if 42 journalists had been killed in the last 7-8 years, so they can be the target, maybe not now, or maybe after a few months, maybe after a few years.
But for those who have already been targeted, there's little hope for justice. Musa Khan Khail's reports had brought him to the attention of various rival extremist groups in and around Swat Valley. The identity of his killers is still unconfirmed. And when our camera crew in Swat met with Musa Khan Khail's elder brother, he expressed little hope that official inquiries would bring any concrete answers.
Musa hadn't mentioned anything to us about being threatened, but obviously in journalism, your job is your biggest enemy. Official guarantees of security for journalists in Swat are simply not feasible. The government has been unable to secure itself in this region. How will they be able to safeguard journalists? Over here, it's every man for himself.
We have to cover the area, but we have minimized our operations. We don't want to take any chances. We don't want to lose any more lives. No story is worth dying for.
Cameraman Saeed Iqbal ke saath Musa Khan Khail, Geo News, Swat.
Here's how our Global Village voices see the suppression of the media in the Swat Valley.
One of the things that has happened in Pakistan over the last few years has undoubtedly been a freeing up of the media. This is, on the whole, a very good thing. I don't believe that the reporters are in any mood for that to, in any way, stop. I don't think this death will scare off other reporters from doing their job.
I think it's too early to speculate as to what the reality is. The situation in Swat is very destabilizing, but there has been an agreement between the Pakistan government and different parties in the area, and we've got to see how that works out. And I think the journalists who are operating in that area are operating in very dangerous times, but they recognize that when their colleague, the Geo cameraman, was murdered, that was an attack just on that individual cameraman. It was an attack on media and journalists around the world. And the government of Pakistan, the Pakistan Taliban, and all parties concerned must recognize and accept the sacred role that journalists are playing in that region.
Anyone looking to be one of our Global Village voices can either email us at listeningpost@aljazeera.net or just go on Facebook and look for the Listening Post page. We'll let you know via Facebook what stories we're working on and how you can get with the program and contribute to our broadcast. Time now for Listening Post News Bites. The International Federation of Journalists has released a highly critical report cataloging Israel's media violations in the recent war on Gaza. The IFJ said that during the 23-day onslaught, Israeli forces targeted Palestinian media while enforcing the Israeli government's ban on foreign journalists entering Gaza to cover the fighting. The IFJ also accused Israeli forces of targeting news vehicles inside Gaza, even those clearly labeled as press or TV. Israel locked most of the media out of Gaza during the fighting, breaching an order from an Israeli court that said reporters should have been let in. Libya is planning to open up its newsstands and make foreign newspapers available for the first time in 25 years. The Gaddafi government has kept a firm grip on the country's media through its General Libyan Press Office, which oversees 3 daily newspapers there. Now the government plans to allow the distribution of 90 Arab and international newspapers, including the Saudi-owned pan-Arab dailies Al Hayat and Asharq al-Awsat, as well as British, French, and American dailies. The story was first reported by Agence France Presse, the French news agency, which last year became the first Western news agency to open a bureau in Tripoli. 5 Egyptian journalists have been fined for breaking a reporting ban on a celebrity murder trial there. The blackout was imposed last November on the trial of Hisham Talat Mustafa, a high-profile businessman charged with the murder of a famous Lebanese singer, Suzanne Tamim, last summer. Mustafa denies ordering the killing of Tamim, who was found in her Dubai apartment. Mustafa is a well-known figure in Cairo and a personal friend of Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak. There have been suggestions that Mustafa's friendship with the president is what led to the ban on coverage of the trial. The British Broadcasting Corporation has found that one of its most popular shows is not that popular with some viewers when it features an all-black cast. The show is called EastEnders, and it's been on the air for 24 years. Recently, it featured an episode with only black actors and received 240 complaints from viewers, many of whom called the broadcast inappropriate. The BBC responded with a statement that said there have been many all-white episodes of EastEnders, and we do not believe there is any reason why an all-black episode should not be included in the series. Alexander Lebediev, the former Russian KGB spy turned media magnate, seems to be headed for a showdown with Prime Minister Vladimir Putin. Lebediev wants to expand his media empire by launching a new English-language radio station in Moscow. The billionaire already owns a large chunk of Novaya Gazeta, a Moscow newspaper that's frequently critical of Prime Minister Putin. Last month, we reported on his acquisition of the British paper, the London Evening Standard. Lebediev recently told another British paper, The Guardian, that he intends to use his media holdings to speak out, whether Prime Minister Putin likes it or not.
I'm not a politician. I just preserve and cherish the chance to speak out.
We're back after the break with a report on the lifting of the U.S. ban on filming its fallen soldiers.